What's going on, Future Cannabis Project community? Back again, it's that rotten son of a blunt, Lobster Fan Farms. And today, for some FCP viewing pleasure, we have Breakfast Connections. My homie Paulie's going to be joining us and taking some questions. And I want to show you a face of the legal cannabis industry that I feel like a lot of people don't envision. I feel like a lot of people, especially in the virtual space, not boots on the ground, it's always pictured as like a Walmart type corporation or like a big corporation structure with tons of underpaid employees and lots of overworking bosses and lots of, inferior XYZ. But there's a different side of it, not that that exists. I'll totally acknowledge that. It's reality. But there's a side of it like this where it's just my good homie. He's just doing his thing with his good homie. They've got no outside finance. They're kind of all like, I want to say self-made, and there's great things happening out there. I just want to show like the mom and pop side of the industry. And this is New York too, besides California, this is like the state, so small guys could be doing things in big places too. And what's up, Paulie? Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here.
I guess my first question would be is kind of like, I guess maybe to give a story of your come up. Like I know right before you went to New York, you were doing some other things. I guess we could start we could go way far back.
I was going to say.
We could go back and back.
You're there.
Yeah, we could go way back, but I think for today at least, and trying to spot like Breakfast Connections and your thing that you're doing in New York, kind of the moment that you decided, let's say you're going to go to the legal New York industry and things are going to change. I guess we'll start like whatever day that was that you were like, yo, this is a move I think I really want to entertain and I think it's going to work and I'm going to start putting effort and energy into it. I'd say like maybe start there and tell us your come up, because I feel like you've really accelerated the brand. And how long's it been? 2 years now? 2.5?
Dude, it's brand-wise, it's been since 2021.
Oh, okay. No, for New York.
For New York, it's been a year and a half.
Almost 2 years. So I feel like you've really taken the brand somewhere in a very competitive state and like, cutthroat area where I love FCP because there's a lot of compassion, empathy, and a lot of like homegrowers and stuff. But out there in the brutal reality of reality, like, I don't know, you're just really doing your thing. So I guess I'll give you the hot seat.
But that's the thing though, dude, is that we all know that. Like we all know that grind. And like even like you're talking about corporate companies in the legal market, they spend so much money on that shit and they can't get it. And it's just like we come from shit being hard, right? So I think like the only reason I really went to New York was because they gave me an opportunity. I was able to get a license for under $10,000. Just like the fact that I could do that.
The barrier of entry wasn't like too overwhelming, which is, I totally agree with. That's a major reason why I am here. You talk about like Colorado or California, you have to put up a small fortune sometimes just to apply and nothing's guaranteed.
But here's the thing. This community is why I love you guys, because I love all the growers. I've grown before and I've had like I've tried, but I'm not a grower. You know what I mean? In reality, since you've known me from the beginning, I'm technically a broker.
Yeah.
Right? And it's funny, I just met someone in the street art scene of New York, and there's a lot of really cool characters in that scene that are brokers, right? But we all know how fucking whack some of these brokers turn out to be, and they take advantage of artists.
Yeah.
Right?
I've actually talked to that with one of my homies right here. Yeah, I threw the link up if anyone wants to come in and chop it up and maybe ask some questions about what's going on. But I feel Hala is a perfect example of that. He's, top tier artist.
Yeah.
But brokers are full of fuckery. Let's just leave it there.
Well, that's the thing. It's like we're one of the only white label brands in New York that in our DNA, we make sure that we put the logos of the growers on the bags. Always, They make people sign NDAs.
Hold on, Hall.
Fellas.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, good to see you, buddy.
How you doing, man?
Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Paulie.
Paulie? Nice to meet you, Paulie. I'm Jeff. Good to meet you, buddy.
Man.
This is my homie Hollow. We've kicked it and smoked it before, and
Any homie of Trav, he's a friend of mine.
Trav's one of the most respected people in the industry to me.
Isn't that cool?
Yep.
Who would have thunk it?
that rotten son of a blunt.
Rotten son of a blunt. I'm a fanboy. I'm a Lobster Farm fanboy.
Me too.
I'll
man.
admit it.
It goes both ways. Your art's some of my favorite.
Thank you, buddy. That's nice of you to say so. I think
feel
that comes from doing art. I
like
think that
let's
comes
do
from doing
different.
art as exercise rather than doing it to make a living. Because if I try to make a living off of it, I don't even want to show it.
Yeah, that's a weird line, isn't it? You ever find yourself walking it, or do you feel like you're just like solid on?
I self-sabotage myself on purpose all the time because
Yeah.
I don't want the attention on it. But it's a catch-22. It's a really odd catch-22. Yeah, I fucking hate art. I hate art galleries. I hate the whole hoity-toity art scene, but I love art.
Well, we were talking earlier about that because that's why I think a lot of people love Lobster, is because it's not like, hey, look at me. It's almost like the opposite. And if you know, his product just shows for itself. And he's got like swagger. You know what I mean? Like a little bit, like, as an artist, like color, right? Like certain color in a certain moment is like so catching, especially if it's like against the grain,
I 100%, man. You can tell when people are doing things because it's a true passion of their own rather than doing it to try to make people think they're cool.
Yeah.
Well, I can. At least I can. Like Travis is growing weed, whether it's the internet or not. He's in it, but he's been in it from way back.
So what you got over there? Couple lights over there?
What you say?
You got a couple lights over there? What do you got cooking over there?
You got the stump, bro.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah.
a messy shed. That's all this is. Yeah.
Is there a lot like more people are growing haze than ever right now? Has to be, right?
I've been growing hazes for a few years now, and
Yeah.
I'll continue to.
Well, it's funny because it's really hard to grow, right? And it's long.
I can see where it would be a nightmare in a lot of scenarios, but here outdoor where I am, like I've struggled for like 30 years outdoor with different things like PM and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you select through some of those haze crosses, they're fucking impervious to it. It doesn't even like PM. What?
Jungle.
Whatever. Like it just, I don't know what it is. And they're also not as susceptible to bug pressure here, at least so far in my simple anecdotal evidence, which is, I've had 2 outdoor seasons where all the haze plants have, like, despite like me completely ignoring them and having all my effort going into a bunch of other stuff that failed, the haze plants are in the background doing their own thing, and they've shined a couple years in a row.
Yeah, you blew me away when you were saying that the NL5 haze was like 9-10 weeks, something like that, right?
Yeah, I'd say there's a huge range from like 9 to 13.
I'd say from
That's
maybe
massive.
even 8 to 13, depending on how you're selecting towards the NL5 dominant or haze dominance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there'd be a big window. In general, I'd say somewhere in the middle, 10.
How do you guys deal with that with your rooms? Like having
Mine,
different like harvest times,
you just cut most of it down that gets too leggy or gets fucked up, and then at least I did. Like last year, most of my outdoor garden was volunteers from the previous year from pollinating a whole batch of Colombian haze with an NL5 plant. It's not an NL5 technically; it's a violaceous, but it's an inbred line from NL5 from McCormick, and I used that male and put it on a bunch of original haze crosses, and those seeds came up in the yard, like thousands of them the next year. And so I just called through them right at the beginning. I selected for the wider leaves right at the beginning and left a couple of longer leaves. But at the end of the game, like the range of flower time, it it just showed me that I don't know shit, because some of them would wait really, really late to start and act like they were flowering, but they finished quicker. And then others started flowering earlier in the season. Like, oh, this one's got a chance to finish, but it just fucking kept on flowering for like 18 weeks and ended up getting chopped down at the end. So it's weird. I don't know nothing about it, but other than I like smoking it.
So many unique traits in it. And then if you see a lot of those like purple or hype strains, right? They all kind of like seem the same. But a lot of these like hazes and stuff you're talking about, they're all like drastically different. Like I have some NL5 haze to show you from someone who owns a dispensary in New York who's been growing it forever.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
Is
and
it smoking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's different. But it's when I smoked, I was like, I think that's NL5 haze. You know, but it's like different. I've been smoking yours forever. But all those haze, it seems like they have such unique traits. Not like we're like the purple stuff, the candy stuff, or even a lot of the chem stuff. A lot of them are very similar. Like different phenos and different things are pretty similar.
I did notice like certain parallels among through all the plants, but then also like great differences. But like several of them had this pepper burn aftertaste, tangled up with like a floral citrusy thing. And it's not my favorite taste, but that's the stuff that has a grapefruit rind taste that burns my mouth like pepper. That's the stuff that shuts my seizures down. They just shuts them down. Done.
Really?
Yeah, shuts them down.
It's funny, you were telling me recently, I think it was the last time I saw you, about pepper and how it has like, doesn't it like affect with your endocannabinoid system? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it almost acts like a fucking Narcan for THC in a way. I don't know how much that, like, it's speculative, but the plants that have the really peppery, I have a medicinal pepper, they don't get me as high.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't know if there's a correlation there, if it's just all coincidence or what.
Well, dude, I would love to ask you guys, and this is going to come from someone I'm in New York, like selling legal weed, and I buy it from different growers, and we partner and collab basically on drops that will sell out in stores, right? And obviously in our world, so many of the consumer they're looking for THC, you know? And obviously I try not to use the word education, but like you talk to people about terps, because there's a lot of these people who like love weed, but they don't really come from the scene that we came from. So what I've been trying to do is like kind of tell stories and showcase them through like visual stuff or like storytelling to get them to understand the same feeling we get. But obviously THC matters, right? Like obviously.
No, it has to. Especially if you're dealing with pain management.
Right.
THC needs to be in there for me. For like, I have pain management. THC needs to be there. But if you have but straight THC doesn't it may remediate my seizures for a little while, but it doesn't do the same. I think it may actually complicate them. I don't know if it's a mental issue that causes I can't put my finger on that yet, but I think for me the best stuff is broad spectrum.
Broad spectrum. Why not full?
Or same thing.
Oh, is that the same thing? Oh, okay, that's the same thing. Because I remember.
Meaning, yeah, I'm not. Well, why not full? I'm not educated enough to even like. I can't even talk the same language y'all talk. But
I remember one thing was like full. There's a difference between like they extract each cannabinoid and like bring it back in. Was like broad, and they would like make it in like the CBD market, like oils and stuff. That's what I remember. What broad spectrum is from that point of view.
When I said broad spectrum, what I mean is like an entourage of all the terpenes and cannabinoids
and even the
everything
plant,
together.
right? And even like I feel like the plant materials, there's something about it. You know what I mean? Like I think there's health benefits to the whole thing, and that's what they say, like the entourage effect and like the entire plant medicinally affecting your endocannabinoid system.
It also has something to like. I mean, I've been growing for what? Let's see, over like 40 years, and I'd say the first 35 of those years I was growing to get high, but now I'm growing for medical reasons, and so it's a whole different goal. It's not the same stuff doesn't work for me. I understand if you want to get faded and get fucked up and have a good time, like, you know, you might want something a little different. If you want something, or if taste is the reason you want it, like you might not pick some of these ones that Like I sorted through the plants that I took down this summer, and I have them set aside in different jars. And there's 4 jars that I'm going to take to Richmond to get the cannabinoids actually lab tested to see what's in them, because it's just speculation. It's just speculation for me right now, but that way I can kind of focus on what to make my tinctures out of, because the tinctures crit it's a game changer for me.
And is that because they're higher in potency, all the cannabinoids, and it goes?
I don't know. That's why I have to get tested. It's all speculation. It's like it's just kind of whatever I say is subject to cause bias in my own anecdotal evidence, actually.
Yeah.
Which is it's a big
But it's interesting the way you're describing the part of the plant that is helping you with seizures. You know?
That's
interesting.
Well, I had the first big seizure I've had in several months last week when I had to go to the doctor's office. So I didn't smoke in the morning. I went to obvious reasons. I just didn't get high before I went to the doctor's office. Turns out like that might have played a role in me having the seizure. You know, whether it be psychological or what, it's irrelevant, but it does play a role. Especially if it's PNES rather than epileptic seizures, and like we're still trying to sort out whether I have psychogenic non-epileptic seizures or if it's true epilepsy. It looks like what I have is what's called PNES. This is psychogenic non-epileptic seizures, and the evidence, as I'm learning more about it, the evidence is coming pretty obvious at this point.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one too, because like a lot of the doctors sometimes I've had friends and stuff who have epilepsy too, and it's like a lot of times you don't know. Like you're like trying to figure it out with the doctors. It's not like you go.
I'm not 100% sure that smoking fucking 5-gram dabs of pure THC all the time doesn't actually cause people to have conditions like that. I don't know. I can't rule it out. I would have said a couple years ago, that's bullshit. But now I'm like, I don't know. Maybe.
Well, that's what's kind of interesting about our world, right? Like there was so much like bro science underground stuff, but some of these people in this bro science underground community are fucking geniuses.
Well, when people use the term bro science, it's kind of like, to me, it's kind of a cop out, because science welcomes questions. Science welcomes discrepancy. You know what I mean? And like saying it's bro science just because somebody said it. I get that part, but you look at somebody like Travis that's been growing in his garden for several years, and I'm gonna use a weird example. Like say Travis says this plant's doing this because there's water too close to the root zone. That's why it's growing these air roots. Oh, that's just bro science. You can't prove that. Maybe it is bro science, but you can prove patterns and you can observe patterns.
And time is important. Like if you've been doing something for a long time, then you know it more than that. That's why you listen to your elders, right? Like in anything. They've lived through it and they've seen it. So in our world, in our industry, people who have been doing it the longest usually know the most, maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Or they've been doing it long enough wrong that that's not the right way to do it. And sometimes they'll tell you that too. They'll tell you, look, I've been fucking up and you should listen. You're 20 years from now, you're gonna be in the same boat I am. You know, sometimes that's worth a listen.
That's why I think we've been doing pretty good in like the brokering business, like in the legal scene in New York, because I've just been in the trenches moving packs. Me and Trav were in the Bay for a long time. So I know a lot of growers. I know the ins and outs maybe. I've sold a lot of like bag weed. I moved weight, but I've also like sold eighths to people for their house, you know? And once you learn those patterns, when you get into, like Trav joked last time I was with him, he's like, I could sell weed through email now. It's fucking weird. But like we're good at it because we've done it. I've like worked with people who didn't need to go into a store to go buy it, but now they have the ability to. You try to like educate them on why your product and the growers you work with are maybe better than another one or different than another one. But time is really everything for all of us, I think.
Sorry about the noise. I've got 2 hens that just decided to get in a fight right outside my door. Give me 1 second. I gotta break this shit up.
I didn't know what that was. What a cool dude, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, you had to go fix some.
Yeah. It was
Apologize for
with the
that.
birds. Yeah.
One like another huge disadvantage I have, like with my experience, is I was completely like hidden. I was keeping it was all way under the radar, like super low key up until like maybe 5 years ago. Like you wouldn't have even known I was growing for reasons. So I haven't had the
40
ability
years,
to like
right?
talk to all the
40
people
years.
that know what the different strains are and what the different flavors are, because I've kind of just been in my own tight little circle for a long time. Yeah, it's so I don't know. Like Travis says sour diesel or these different names. I suspect I would know it when you brought me a piece and said, "Oh, okay, that's what that is." But right now, I don't yet. You know what I mean?
Yep. And you know it because you smell it and you taste it. Even the way you were describing the pepper and everything. I try to do that with It's so funny how many customers go into stores and they have no idea still. And a lot of people are saying that like maybe flour won't be smoked in the next generation or all these different things. But I think yeah, me too. I believe the same thing. I think more people are smoking weed every day, more curious about the plant, not just the plant, the community. Like
they definitely are.
You know, like people who have been doing shit underground for a long time, and it's interesting, and it's curiousness, you know, and it's a mind altering plant, and you feel it throughout your whole body, so that breeds curiosity in itself. We were talking about that earlier today, remember? It's about like that, like emerging, like what you don't know about is almost the coolest part, you know, and that's kind of what like hooks you in, is like a sense of euphoria and story, you know, and community.
I honestly, I can't. I have lots of people come through, even that were against smoking for years. I have lots of people now that come through and they'll give them a few nugs, or even friends of mine that are horrified that I'm even on the internet talking about weed. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
But even what I consider shitty weed are not the best. It's better than anything I can find, even from all my old sources. Like even it's not top. I doubt it's like even we're close to what you guys are doing up there in those like yeah. I know it's not as good because I don't take the care to dry it and cure it with with the due diligence that it seems like people want to do. But
do you think that that's the most important part of the process of
for taste it is, for flavor it is, maybe
flavor.
For flavor and not having a harsh smoke. But I've got 10 different people come through my building the last few months, and they'll crumble up some quick dried dusty outdoor and take a hit of it and be like, and tap out. Like, it's harsh, but the effect is there. And I think the effect is the most important for me. I'd rather eat a chicken turd and not have seizures than eat a cupcake and have a seizure.
Dude, that's a fucking gem.
Which
no, seriously. I mean,
I know I'm being dead serious. Like,
oh, dude, you want to know what's the worst too? Is I'm gonna get hated on this stream for it, but I'll just say
you're in good company.
Dude, you know what sucks is how much everyone hates Oreos, and like how people talk about the terps and everything of it. It's probably one of my favorite strains for effect.
Is Oreos
makes me feel so good, but I feel like I can't tell people.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I had a giant Skittles plant that when
That's what I'm saying.
Online, I thought the giant Skittles was amazing.
Dude, I don't know, but and like Gorilla Glue, like why is it? I feel like Gorilla Glue is not as popular as maybe it should be because it's not fruity. It's not like crazy skunk, and it's like an interesting terp, and the effects are so strong. Not necessarily strong, unique. Let's call it. But I was told by some growers in Rhode Island years back that the time you harvest, if you harvest earlier or later, it changes the effect of like some of the strains. Is that true?
There's no question. That is something I can say with 100% certainty. And this year I did it again. I took down branches every week for 5 weeks off of a large plant that I had. And it's a completely different animal in the buckets. The early bud versus the late, it's completely different effect. It's definitely different.
Here's a good question for you though, is do you feel like you grow more leaning towards flavor or effect?
I feel they're closely related. I feel like they might not be the same thing, but I feel like there's a direct correlation. Like how Hollis said, like that flavor, I can correlate with this effect. Maybe more than like how it feels when you roll it up or how it looks under a microscope. I feel the smell like food gives us a real good insight.
100%, Travis. You're 100% correct. And if I were more disciplined and not lazy, I would try to grow for all of that. Like Travis is at another level than I am on growing. We're not even in the same league. He's way above me. But like, and if I were capable of being disciplined and having my dry room set up properly and harvesting when I'm supposed to and watering when I'm supposed to and doing all that properly, maybe you get all three. But right now you start with first things first, you know, make sure that it's got to grow. It's got to grow well first, right? And then once you got a couple thousand that are growing real well, you start smelling them. You can rule out ones you don't like the smell of right off the bat. Some of them are covered in bugs immediately. You can rule them out. And a couple years down the road, if you're lucky, you might have something that'll keep popping up in your yard that won't go into flower in April, and it'll finish. That's the goal. It's like normal farming, but the weed industry doesn't know what normal farmers have been doing for thousands of years. They got the hype boy. They get the hype boy.
Nor do they want to listen.
They definitely don't want to listen. You're throwing pearls before swine talking to most of, I'm not trying to be critical, but you're throwing pearls before swine talking to a lot of these new growers.
Yeah. There needs to be a blend. People, I mean, dude, you know, I've known this man for a long time. I'm a yapper. I love to talk. But like, I get my most knowledge when my mouth is shut. You're only listening when your lips are closed. You know what I mean? You got two, you know, those little things. And I feel like all of us legit should listen more. Like in the industry,
I have learned
industries, outside people. Not everyone's evil. You know what I mean? Like from other lands, other places of business. You know, or agriculture.
Like you said, like I would love to say that I learned most of my. I would love to say I learned most of the stuff that is helpful to me by reading and applying that practice. But in actuality, I learned most of the useful lessons by thinking I knew something and doing it, and it went to shit. That's how I learned the most. Like, like y'all are full of shit. Y'all said do these lights and do these newts and do this, and I got so spun around that I took 20 cuts off a Blue Dream plant a couple years ago. I put it in 20 different scenarios, and I got 20 different flowers. So how are y'all certain that adding molybdenum makes your terpenes pink? I don't, you know what I mean?
It's a funny world in any business of like taking advice from people, but at the same time, you have to like live and die on your sword and do what's best for you and what makes you unique. That's why I love doing like the brand thing, is because I like to just like, when I go to growers and I work with them, I always like to listen and be like, who are they? You know what I mean? And like there's a military guy called Lead Farmer who's been legacy forever, and he was in the Iraq War and came back. There's so many military people involved in cannabis. It's insane.
That's
and I always like to figure out why. But like that's almost the more curiosity is like understanding why and these guys grow fire, but they also come from that community. It's like the community's so broad and everyone's got a story to tell, you know?
Most of my friends would not even consider getting on one of these shows. They wouldn't even think about coming on this show and talking about cannabis. Not even like, not that they're against it or nothing, but
they do. They don't talk.
They don't talk.
Yeah.
Like me, I was on my deathbed and I was literally so mentally ill and so sick that I forgot everything I knew. I didn't give a fuck. Like I didn't even give a fuck about anything when I started coming on the shows. Now, like I'm kind of coming back around to getting healthy again. I'm like, oh fuck, you know.
Yeah, that's life. Sounds like life cycles, man. That's a beautiful thing.
But
this plant's always called me back, man. I've gotten popped, and I've fucking had to crawl back out of probation and everything. Sometimes I used to think about why am I still doing it, and when you get in those lows, but I don't know, dude. There's something about the plant. I hate always doing that, like the plant, but like the community around the herb is always been the coolest for me. Like that's why I love the conversations.
The community around the herb that I do click with, I love, but there's also like I don't click with everybody, but that's all right. That's all right.
But I do, trust me, I do like content. I have documentary film guys that come around with me to showcase a lot of growers, like from all across to New York. That's like how we'll like go grab breakfast. That's why it's Breakfast Connections. We'll go grab breakfast and talk about their thing, what makes them different in the community. You know what I mean?
Come on down here to Virginia. I'll make you some biscuits and gravy, and you can smoke some booth.
Dude,
Come on.
I'm writing that down. I'm gonna poke the bear over here to bring me down there.
Get in the car. Bring Travis
Right.
with you. Travis has got an open door policy. Travis come anytime he wants, stay as long as he wants.
That's amazing, man. And you know what's funny is I was telling him earlier, I get so many cancellations. And I come from the game, so I'm always just like, dude, it's totally fine. Like, I understand to the fullest, but that's why I think they're always so potent and good. Oh, yes,
Breakfast Connection.
absolutely. I'm loving this. That's why I want to do it so much more, is because people don't want to put their stuff out there. It makes it so much more like juicy in a way, and like that's the stamp on people's strains. And I've told him that, like, obviously he grows fire and it's unique, right? But like his personality, his background, his story puts it into the product. And a lot of these people are coming home smoking at the end of the day. They're getting this effect, this euphoria. You could give them that feeling beforehand with the story, with like everything you got going on. It's a beautiful like entourage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Definitely.
feel like a good way to equate that to us is like growing regeneratively. It's like as you're telling the story to yourself, or the story is getting told organically, it just makes the process more enjoyable when it's something you dig, you know?
100%, Travis. Like Travis seen me a couple years ago. I had indoor grows set up, and I had some other stuff. The flower beds were amended, and I spent more money than I really had to spend on amendments to get it all set up, and more money than I should have spent on seeds. And then the plant that was in the stump, the old throwaway experiment, outshined that year. And then the next year, the plants that were in the hugelkultur that popped up on their own, they outshined all the other shit that I had that I was putting the most attention. It's just, it keeps on. I keep getting humbled by it.
Sorry to go off topic, but I can't wait to talk about how perfectly this egg is cooked.
Oh, hell yeah.
There's an art to that.
Yeah.
And it was done.
What are y'all eating? That looks
Egg, salami, and cheese.
Salami, egg, and cheese.
fuck. I gotta go.
Underrated.
Holy shit. That
The best
fucking
one
hurt me. That hurt me a little bit to hear it. That sounds good.
The best one, if you remember, I was doing pork cutlets at like 2 a.m. one time. We were all on the stream. Everyone who was hanging out with us, they're just like, fuck you, Trav. Fuck you. I just got the camera on the sizzle. You just see it going brown, golden.
Bunch of hungry stoners with nothing to eat. And he's deep frying pork cutlets. Motherfucker. Yeah. That's funny as shit.
Go.
So are you going to segue
Well,
into
but
breakfast connections? You're going to talk about the egg? So before Paulie empties his mouth, because we're quick to talk before we do that in our culture, I'll let you empty the gullet while I give a soft intro. So the whole thing behind Breakfast Connections, which is Paulie's brand, is like the bacon, egg, and cheese, or just the egg sandwich kind of in like the tri-state area. It's a very important thing, and we are not playing. It's like almost to pizza level, you know, for our culture. Like, it's a very important thing. And Paulie goes around kind of checking out where the best spots are all over the Northeast. And like before, when he was saying he's like a connoisseur, he's like, now this egg is cooked proper. That's hard to do, you know? So I'll let Paulie start kicking his shit on like, the brand is so organic, like it's just cool. Like it's our culture, you know. It's fucking awesome.
Well, you know, it's funny how it started. I had that imagery of that like classic diner cup years before I even applied in New York. Because to me, Skylar and me were going up to Rhode Island. I was doing I had a little grow up there, and then we were renting out a spot over there. That was like kind of like the idea was like an Amsterdam style coffee shop, and we were doing like that sticker thing, you know, and we were growing weed, and we had to drive a lot in the morning, and we wanted to call ourselves like the Breakfast Club, but like that's corny as shit. And to us, it was just getting up early, and that coffee cup imagery was like a beacon to people getting up and getting after, and cannabis is like a part of their lives. You know what I mean? And just like networking with people. I don't know, like the hustle. It's hard to even put into words. That's how we know we had something. And then we got someone from, I used to sell cookie packs to someone in Peekskill, New York years ago. And he reached out to me and he was like, "Yo, there's really not that much fire." And this is what's hilarious because in his mind, I was a grower. You know, he's like, "There's like no fire out here. You should come out here and do it." And I literally just explored it from there. And over the last couple of years, there's a lot of people like me and like good growers out in New York and upstate. There's such cool culture out there that if you jump down these licenses, you can get them for a couple G's, and you could get in the legal market. And mine was a little bit unique because I could go buy and sell it. And we were doing podcasts. I had that coffee shop type of thing for a while, doing sessions with the brand. It just so happened that imagery in New York, it all like came together. And we were doing a lot of social media content as we started, and Instagram was shutting us down. So we love like getting a Dutch, bacon, egg, and cheese, and a coffee, going out and hustling, right? It's the story of who we are as people. And, I was just like, why don't we just review? We can't sell my weed at stores on social media or anything. They shut you down. So I was like, why don't I just like review bacon, egg, and cheeses around the stores I'm in, and I'm outside of it, and people will get it. And we've blown up since then. You know, we're in over 100 stores out there, and like people, like my brother went up to. Did he tell you about that?
What's that?
My brother went up to go get a trailer
Dude,
in
they
Albany.
fucking knew
They
who
knew
you
who
were.
I was.
Dude, I was like, young homie, got what the fuck?
It's hilarious, dude. And it's all because of that. And we can go deeper into the other things because obviously that's who we are and people get it. And I was telling you today about like the sweatsuits. It's like it's easy for me to put out clothing or weed or like content because I don't have to be like, look at me, this is cool. It's like, is there anybody else out there? Because all of us are like this. We get up in the early, we play video games, sell weed, grow weed, we're just on the go. And New York has been the best for us because that's what that shit is. And like you said, tri-state, it's like, I don't know, bacon, egg, and cheese, a coffee, and a blunt. We mostly sell blunts. It's like hemp cone stuff, thin hemp cones I buy. I usually do outdoors so I can make it affordable because it's a $10 blunt in New York, which is really big because everything's expensive out there. And I just go to a bunch of there's this guy who runs all Subcool stuff.
Okay.
So it's like all like this lemony, limey
that's
shit.
good flavor for the pre-rolls.
Right. And he has like these crosses. So like what we'll do is I'll go feature him with my documentary film crew. You know, if he doesn't have a name for it, we'll make a name for it because it's just a random cross, and we'll tell the story of the product, and then we'll promote it with the bacon, egg, and cheese around the stores. Like that's the connections part of it. It's like Breakfast Connections is like not just like bacon, egg, and cheeses. It's people like us who get up every day. Weed is a part of their life. You know what I mean? It's really what it is.
Well, I love bacon, egg, and cheeses and weed. So
Yeah, exactly.
works out nice.
Exactly.
I'll fuck up some bacon, egg, and cheeses.
But I wanted to ask you guys something because I'll segue into this from what I was just saying about how I buy weed and rename stuff with the growers, right? A lot of people have a lot of things to say about that, right? About like changing names and stuff like that. But our biggest thing, I think, also why we do really well is we're mad transparent. We're like, this is what this is. I changed the name, but this is the lineage of it, and this is why it's affordable. They're smaller buds, right? But it's still grown really well, X, Y, and Z. And we cater to people who don't have that much money. So like it's gonna sound crazy, but a $30 eighth in the stores is crazy.
Sick people can't afford a $30 eighth. I got news for you.
But
Sick, broke ass people can't afford it, you know. But it's not expensive. That's not expensive though. But
dude, that's 60. That I'm one of the cheapest eighths in the market at 30.
I know that's no, I wouldn't. That's $30 eighth is that's a reasonable. I mean, they were 50 an eighth here for up until like what 5 or 6 years ago for an eighth of chronic. It was even here, but
no matter where I go with the brand, and if like all I want to do is be affordable product and represent good growers and tell stories. So what I wanted to bring up was I work with these guys, Calia. Have you ever heard of them?
What was that?
Calia. They do hash and stuff,
So.
but they're living soil growers in Canastota. They're working with Growing Renaissance and these guys out there, and so they have straw nana crossed with GMO, right? And I don't know, like that's like their pheno hunted stuff that they have, right? And they were calling it NASCAR, because it was gassy from that GMO, but it had like the floral strawberry to it, right? And we bought a bunch of it, and we didn't want to call it NASCAR because we don't want to get sued, because people are getting sued for shit like that.
Yeah.
So, and I love that weed for the gassiness. I love gas. Like, that's my biggest thing, right? We did these pink bags, and we did like a 90s shout out from like the pink Escalades.
Okay.
And like we've been on, it's funny you were saying about the Dipset. We've been actually on a bunch of Dipset type shit. It's hilarious. And but like, so it was a pink bag, and it was like some art that we did with it. And we opened those bags, it just smells like strawberries. Because I wrote strawberry diesel on it.
So the mind made you think it smells like strawberries, or it actually did?
That's what I mean. And so I think all we do is tell stories. I'm not a grower. You know what I mean? So I go tell the stories of the growers and the products and how it was grown. And then I have this finished product, right? And I didn't mean to do that. I wasn't like, I'm going to call it this so it's more like strawberry. You know what I mean? It just so happened to bring out different parts of that product that I didn't know was there just because we were having fun with it and I didn't want to call it NASCAR.
Well,
So like, what is that like perception, like with flavor? It's interesting.
I see what you're saying. Like, I can see, like,
I feel like that's an honest lie. I was saying this the other night. Like, I'm cool with an honest lie. It's when you're trying to tell me something it's not and not being transparent about it. It's like, I don't know. It's like, don't tell me it's OG Kush when it's clearly not.
Yeah.
If you're calling it, LMN Kush, and there's a little asterisk and like, I don't know. Like, it's
an interesting conversation.
All right, here's an example, like, kind of to what you're saying. Like, if I order a pack of seeds from Ag Seed, I'm gonna use them for an example. I got a pack of Northern Lights and a pack of Purest Indica and a pack of ON Haze, and I open pollinated them, and I had a 50-pound bag of seeds. And then I said, oh, this is ON Haze, or I said, oh, this is Purest Indica. Like, it's not fair for me to do that because it's not. It may have been those seeds initially, but it's not fair for me to. That's like. But as far as like just giving out finished flour, if I say here's a bucket of flour, it's Bammer, and then you name it what you want. Yeah. I'm not stealing from the person.
To me, that's a dishonest lie. It's like, you're, especially if I mean, we all make mistakes or don't have the clear information, but if you know and you still say it's something else, to me, that's a dishonest lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, if you breed, like if I were to go out there and pollinate the Purest Indicas on those ON Haze and say, hey, here's NL5. NL5 came from that, but that doesn't mean what I made is NL5.
What I think of is like Spider-Man. It's gonna sound silly, but it's like with great power comes great responsibility. You know what I mean? Like it's like when you have a lot of people being like, "What's this?" And that's what all people do when they go into the stores. Is they're like, "I want a sativa or an indica because of this and that." And if you explain to them about what I try to tell people with terpenes is like, it's a lot like essential oils, right? Lavender is purple and tired.
Yeah.
Lemon is more uppity, right? But I think sometimes people are just like, that's an easy way to sell someone some dog shit.
Yeah, Little Debbie.
Like, oh, it's right there. You know what I mean? The one I'm trying to get rid of is the one you want.
Fire, pants on fire.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's something to that though, because I was so surprised by that. All of a sudden, I just smelled the straw nana in it, just because I used the name that was in one of the crosses. And then all of a sudden it came out. But when it was called NASCAR, that makes you think of engine oil and gas. So the gas parts come out, right?
That's fucking interesting how
you
say that. It's literally that all of our minds work that way. All of our minds process stuff before we even have a chance to think about what it's processing. That's kind of an example of that. Like, you saying that you wrote straw nano on it and that's what you smelled. But if you wrote NASCAR on it, you smell the gas side. But in actuality, it might have both. Like,
and then think of what we're talking about growing stuff for flavor or effect. So like sometimes I feel like, I don't know. Again, I'm not growing, so I try not to tell people what to grow. But like I'm almost like grow only for effect, because you could tell stories about the lineages of where it comes from, and then have fun. You know what I mean? Like I think
100%. I 100% know what you mean, and that's because I'm sick. But before I was sick, I had been growing to get high, which is also a form of effect.
Yeah,
but I'm definitely not on the growing for the taste first. I would rather grow for the vigor, select for effect and then select for taste from that. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because if the tomato plant tastes great, but it only makes one tomato all summer, you might want to grow a different tomato, or you know what I mean?
And then how are you testing for effect, right? Like, are you just smoking one strain and then doing it the next day, a different one? It's like,
Take notes and a lot of that. Sometimes I'll mix all three together. Something, it's all that is bro science. Literally, me testing for effect and taking notes with the dementia some days and not the others. That is, in a way, that's not perfect science, but
and everyone makes it themselves. I used to smoke that headband strictly when I was watching like stupid 90s comedy because I was always like eyes closed. You know, like, I don't know.
Did they name headband because of like some flower? I even have jars right now that as soon as you smoke it, you'll get that kind of that
Yeah, that's what people
headbandy
say.
effect.
Yeah.
Is that what the I almost get a headache from that weed faster than some other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, some weed you smoke too much, you get. I don't know. I can smoke myself into a headache. I don't know about y'all, but I can.
Well,
literally,
I smoke blunts and I smoke like tobacco with weed. So sometimes I feel like if I get a headache from it, I put a little too much tobacco in there.
I don't. Sometimes it's because I fucking took 50 bong hits and I got a headache. You know, I haven't smoked yet today. This will be a first bong hit. I've been running my mouth the whole time we've been on here.
Bada binger.
Time to pack it up.
Always lost in the sauce.
Yeah, Travis is a good listener. He's a better listener than most.
Yeah. Well, you've come a long way with that stuff too, man. Like, I think that's what like makes your product's really good, right? So sometimes you don't have to talk. But when I like to listen to, I talk all the time. So when people don't talk, I listen when they start to speak. You know, because that's someone who's been listening and can have some good like education on whatever subject. You know.
Definitely. I always have lots of questions. I try not to talk more than I have to, but I can't. I'm like you. I fucking talk to myself. I'm the only one here. I'll be out here talking to the chickens, walking around just talking. I mean, yeah.
Dude, you said we got to get some biscuits and gravy out there in Virginia. Did we ever drive through there, like on trips and stuff? Was that part of it?
No.
Sometimes I like forget.
It's like under Philly, so it's like it wouldn't be on the way back, you know.
So funny to think about those times. Do you know how many people? Because I got popped in Illinois those years ago. So how many people I go meet who have license in New York because they gave a lot of license to people who got arrested.
Who had charges
there? Because that was like a spot where they were like getting people from PAX from Cali.
That's funny.
That was like their station. They'd see out of state plate, get them. Yeah.
Bottleneck in the middle of rural fuck all.
Yeah. And then
there's
I
places
remember,
like that in Virginia. Like you couldn't have. You couldn't have paid me to drive through some spots in Virginia, and especially West Virginia, back in the day. You couldn't. I wouldn't have even driven through. You know.
So herb is herb still like super like illegal out there?
No, recreational.
Recreational?
We have home grow. You can have four plants here.
Nice.
They're getting ready to. I think they just recently. Rec, I think, is going to be legal here pretty shortly.
What do you think about that?
I think that. I think it's a mess, actually.
Why? I'm interested.
Because I feel like it's like now we're getting weed from Philip Morris or Budweiser instead of home growers. I don't know. I could be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what we saw in New York too, and there's that out there, right? But I just think about we might be getting away with it because there's such a big population out there.
Now, don't get me wrong. I would rather it be that way than back like it was, because now, like 10 years ago, like my yard would have got me put in jail for 20 years.
Right.
But now it's legal. You know? So that's good.
Perception is everything too. Like people, like once they say it, like on the fucking news, people start like looking at it differently. It's like it's just people are programmed, you know?
Yeah, I definitely have an issue with people with seeing all these with hearing people talk about cannabis with a broad stroke, like say, let's use the sentence, studies show now that cannabis doesn't relieve anxiety and depression. You can't make that statement without, you got to take cannabis out of that and write which cultivar you smoked that doesn't, because some of it doesn't and some of it does. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Definitely. And I can also, this is also an unpopular opinion in the weed world, but if you have mental health issues, you can smoke too much cannabis and make them worse. It's not a cure-all. If you got motive, yeah, for some it might be, but it's not the broad strokes are where we get in a lot of trouble, I think. It's part of my issue with the big government governing everything about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested. Now that you say it, I think I've heard about Virginia recently legalizing. And I just wonder how different the states are. 'Cause sometimes I'm like, I just got lucky that New York's like laws are pretty, like I don't know if there's as many lobbyists, you know what I mean, for these big companies out there. Because
the lobby's being run by big money, that's for sure. The ones here, at least.
And they don't want people like us in, you know.
No, they want that alcohol revenue. I think that they're like so much less drinking going on and stuff. More people using cannabis.
Yeah.
But then again, that's where the irresponsible use of it gets in my, like, bothers me, because me trying to explain to people that are opposed to it and the behavior they might wrongfully associate with it, it's hard to justify watching. It's hard to justify some of the stuff I see going on. I guess I'll leave it like that.
Let's try. That's why I try not to compare it to alcohol as much as I can, because a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, alcohol is legal," and it's like everyone cares. It's like, that's wrong too.
That argument requires the absolute least critical thinking of all. That requires no critical thinking whatsoever to just say, well, they did. That's like saying, you shouldn't punch people in the face. Well, so-and-so did.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Bowler did.
Okay. So-and-so wasn't raping an old lady when I punched him. Or,
right.
You know, there's different situations, you know.
Yeah.
Or wasn't it, I don't kick dogs. I don't beat up animals. But if I get attacked by a dog, I might kick it to defend myself.
Yeah. And that's what's kind of great. And what's fucked up is that most laws get put into place because of safety. You know what I mean? And like, that's like what they use for it, right?
Which is a lie.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
when it comes to cannabis, that's a lie.
Yeah. And so I think that things like that are going to be the pillars of the law changes that they make at any state. Is going to be like a big advantage of like a mistake that happens, you know.
The gas stations on every corner that have you know, the vapes and the THCAs and all that shit with pictures that appeal to children and names that appeal to children on it are not going to help me make an argument to older, you know, for the use of it for medical. You know, they're not going to help me convince the little old lady that she might be able to eat a little FICO and relieve a little bit of her pain that's coming from chemo, and or whatnot. You know, it's
yeah. I'm under especially with all the Schedule 3 thing that's happening. I personally think that we'll be really old when it's like the way we hope it would be, of like fully recreational, and like, you know, I think the Schedule 3 change is gonna be it's gonna stay there for a minute. Because they're gonna be like, what that is for a long time.
They can't just move it straight to legal. They have to go through Schedule 3 to go to legal. There's no way around that. So if we do want it legal, it's got to go Schedule 3 first. Simply. So
actually, I didn't know that. So it
has to.
Yeah, I didn't know that actually.
There's no other avenue to it, and it's a convoluted, long conversation. But I'm open to hearing other alternatives, but. That's the only way. It has to go Schedule 3 so they can do the medical testing to prove further that it's not. How else is that even gonna like it's like the doom and gloom. Oh, we're not gonna be able to get seeds anymore. Buy your seeds quick. That only affects big seed breeders who want to sell seeds. We're gonna be able to send seeds back and forth still.
People were selling seeds all the time before.
I was getting seeds in 1989.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
cash to fucking Amsterdam with a self-addressed return envelope and waiting 2 months for him to come back.
Yeah, back then that was more of a issue, I'd say. Fear.
And it would also got you 15, it would have got me 15 years in jail back then.
Yeah, for beans.
For beans. That's never that ship sailed. They're not going to be able to enforce that kind of. Well, I hope not. I don't know.
Yeah. I know that was like a big because I just thought it was the hemp thing that they did, and then the schedule thing wasn't an accident, you know. And
well, there's no accident about it.
Yeah, like doing it before it. It's like they have a plan that's being walked. You know what I mean? Like they're like clearly like they know what's happening, and they got all us waiting, being like, "Fuck, what are we gonna have to do?" That's why people are like, "You're never gonna be able to get your seeds," and blah blah blah. But like, we just have to sit our asses down and be patient, keep doing what we do best. All of us in the market, whatever niche you have in it, just keep doing it and being better at it, and then we're gonna be allowed to do whatever we're gonna be allowed to do, and then we're gonna break some walls. You know,
I'm gonna do what's right, not what's legal. Unfortunately, but that has cost. That has consequences.
And trust me, dude. It's
especially if you have a family, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the fucking 280E shit, like the taxes that come along with it, is so fucking weird and lame. You know, it's like shit that I don't understand. It's again, I'm trying to listen to people who are maybe outside of like our game, you know, to like help me with taxes, and they don't even know, because like these people who come from like, you know, not doing taxes for cannabis, they go into it and they don't even really know.
They don't even understand business, how business works. They don't understand how laws get passed, they can't even tell you the difference between the Senate, Congress, the House. They don't. It's like people bitching about these wars on foreign soils. They can't point these countries out on a map.
Yeah.
But they know why we're invading.
Yeah, good point.
We don't know. Like we think we did, but we don't.
I see that a lot. And I found it in myself, but a lot of people who go to the community and like pick up growing weed or want to be, a lot of times it's younger people who, like these younger people are turning 18 and it's legal and they could like get a job as a bud tender at a store. You know what I mean? You don't have to like trim and then get some packs, you know what I mean? But a lot of times I try to tell people, be like, you could be a bud tender, but like you should also try to find a grower and trim it and learn about the plant. You know what I mean? But also learn about the customer. My point is that there's like these new ways to get in that are so unique that we have no idea what that must feel like. You know, like
I would tell a young person that wanted to start growing weed that has no experience with it. Like if they asked me, like they're new, they wanted to get into the game, I would say, don't turn on a single weed growing channel. Go to a nursery or go to a farming channel. Go read Shaddam. Go learn how to farm. Everything else. And ignore all this nonsense because it's too much to sort between like the VPDs and the pH and your shit and the par values and all this crazy shit. I mean, yeah, that's great. Like for people who are more along, it's like trying to change the time, set the timing on a fucking Porsche. And you don't know how to change a flat tire. You know,
good point.
You probably should learn to change the tire before you start working on the engine. You know, it's the way I see it. But
and that's farming, right? So like, I look at it as like chefs. You know, like someone will go to chef school, but people who like maybe evolve out of that, they'll like get into gardening, even though they're not going to be like gardening their food to go sell it at their restaurant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like most of the time, if you grow your weed at home, if you grow your own flower, like most of it's going to come out pretty good. If you grow it yourself, like most of it's pretty decent. But like, if you've never cooked a steak before, I can cook a flank steak better than you can cook a Wagyu. If you've never cooked a steak, I can make a Denver steak taste better than you're going to make that Wagyu steak. If you don't know anything about cooking,
I got to tell
you, don't know anything about gardening. How are you going to discuss what caused what deficiency? How are you going to know? It's just doesn't add up.
I used to get away with selling mids that I grew because I learned how to cure weed before I learned how to grow it.
The homegrown mids smell so good compared to
I know how to cure. I that was my first job in weed, was curing outdoor farms in like Humboldt. You know what I mean? And trimming. So I learned that like you can grow weed and kind of and dude, people say stress to success. Sometimes my plants had stress, and it wasn't because I was doing it on purpose, you know.
No.
So and then I would cure it right, and it was still good smoke, you know.
No, I've had like a lot of my very best grows have been grows where they've been neglected and dried back to damn limp dicks a couple times, and or been underwatered, and then at the end it's come out really good. So it all seems to contradict itself to me.
Yeah, I think just like putting your head down and doing it is everything, you know.
Experience is super value. Hard work beats experience every time, though. All right, let me rephrase that. Hard work beats experience every time if experience doesn't work hard. Does that make sense?
Yep. I've tried to tell people too, if they want to like get an entry level work, I was like, just work really hard. You don't have to know shit. Just work really hard and be a good hang, and like you'll learn a lot. Like people will like you to be around, and if you work really hard. So many of like growers, they need laborers. They need a third hand. So if you can get lucky and get a job with a good grower, be a good hang and just listen and just see what they're doing, and then you know you can. A lot of times, like that's just the only thing you need. That's the sauce. It's just be a good hang and work hard.
Yeah. It's like doing when I built the hugel beds a couple years ago, just to experiment with them. Like I was kind of doing it to prove to myself that that's bullshit, but that's not what the outcome was. The hugel beds now, they outperform anything I can even think about doing in a container, no matter what I do. Like there's just
I'm seeing this comment here. I don't know how Trav links it to show it on the screen, but it's actually pretty interesting. I'm a senior in high school. I've been growing indoor for about a year now and about to enlist in the Marines. When I come out of service, should I be looking to start off as being a bud trimmer? I personally think so, but I'm biased because I did that. And like I just said, like learning that finished product and like seeing it be chopped down and then put into that final stage to smoke, I think is so important to see how the changes in the plant. But I mean, what do you think? I mean,
I've never stepped foot into a dispensary. I've seen, I've never even been in one. So I don't know. I don't know. I think I don't know. I would probably just grow at home and try to figure it out.
Yeah, see if you like it, right? Like just grow at home and see if you like it, and then, you know, that's the first step is growing a plant, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. And then even grow some plants in some soil that isn't recommended. Like dig up some dirt from somewhere random and then put some mixed soil next to it and see what the difference is. You can do things like, you know what I mean? I would just experiment.
Yeah. You've been doing this thing for 40 years, man.
I've been growing for 41 years. Yeah.
So you got like some knowledge that
I don't think I know shit. I think I'm fucking clueless. But the more I know, the less I know.
But that makes you want to ask you more questions. You know what I mean?
The more I know, the less I know,
you got some secrets.
Yeah. The more
Do you grow like Travi? Do you do the living soil stuff?
I'm not even in the same. I can't even sit at the same table with Travis. Travis is heads and tails above me. Travis is the real deal. I'm just here growing in my backyard a little bit.
Oh, that's cool, man.
No, I mean I grew in my attics and tents and closets for years. I had hidden attic grows and shit with street lights and box fans from Walmart and wooden stepping grow stores. You couldn't have paid me to go in a grow store. You couldn't, like, even when they were there. You couldn't have paid me to walk in one of the fucking places.
And why?
Just because I didn't want to get picked up on, like, I didn't want to get I was afraid cops would be sitting outside, seeing who lives at the grocery store.
Yeah. You're clearly just doing it for the love, like you were saying.
Doing it because I was broke and I wanted some good flour, and
yeah,
it was fucking $50 an eighth.
I sometimes look back of why I started selling weed. I just didn't really have. I didn't really have much else. And I see a lot of people going in because they're just looking for something, looking for community, looking for purpose. And I don't know. I think that I love to bring people together in general, and weed does that a fuck ton better than me. So I think, so
yeah, it's kind of
being
like
around it,
I do like that part of it. Yeah. It's just like fishing. I love that, like with fishing, it's the same thing. Like 90% of the people that fish are kooks, but there's a 10% that I fucking love to hang out with.
Yeah.
And but I'm pretty judgy. I sound like a judgmental fuck, but
no, I also like, I do a lot of like podcasts and stuff like that. Sometimes I try to get stuff out of people, I do. It's really nice to talk with you, man. I love chatting with people who've been growing for that long too, because like, what were some of those strains 40 years ago that you were growing, like in the beginning?
The first pack that I had come in the mail from Amsterdam, I sent into I think it's High Times ad, and I ordered the Tom Hill Deep Chunk, I ordered AK-47, and I ordered Master Kush, and I ran the Master Kush for about 15 years alongside with the VB Ganny. And those, like the AK-47 didn't do good for me, and the Deep Chunk didn't do good either. It was in an attic, a low ceiling attic. The Deep Chunk. The only good memories I have of the Deep Chunk is the Tom Hill original sticker that I still have.
Mm-hmm. No, I've heard of that one. And then AK-47. I used to have AK when I was a little younger, first buying weed, but I don't really I wasn't really into weed as much as I got into it at the time, so I didn't really get a chance to embrace AK. What was AK like? What was like the flavor profile of AK?
There was like cherry AK, pheno, or like an expression, I guess would be a more accurate way to put it. Like the cherry AK was something special. But there was a couple batches we got straight fruity pebbles. I mean, it was labeled AK-47, probably 08, and you open it. So it wasn't way far back, but like you open it, I mean, it's a box of fruity pebbles.
Wow.
Flavor transition, inhale and exhale. I remember it.
Yeah.
Not too dissimilar from the OC buds, where they were like kind of small and slender, not chunkers.
Mm-hmm.
But like whoever made that selection, if it was AK, that was primo. But
So the AK that I grew out, the one that I finished in my back on my outside patio, it had a structure, like it had these little spindly buds, almost like a like big calyx, little tiny buds, but it tasted like black licorice, and I didn't like it. So I don't have any idea if it's like. I remember it tasting like anise, though. I can still remember that. Yeah.
Remember Sweet Tooth?
like the fish. Yeah.
Well, dude, I can't find anything like it. I smoked something called McLovin. You ever heard of that? Like, I mean, I know it's from that movie, but it tasted like a trot cross or something, but it was like maybe kind of like that. But Sweet Tooth, I missed that.
Yeah, I haven't heard that name in a while.
But what was that kind of? That was like almost not menthol-y, but like bright mint. You know what I mean? Like what was that? What's that gum that?
Double mint?
Yeah, that I remember Eazy used to rap that. He's like, I gotta go to the store and get a blunt and some double mint. But yeah, I miss those profiles. But thank God for you guys of like the hazes, at least like so many unique types of hazes. Like, yo, that Band-Aid haze that I got from Fractal,
Nice.
a bitch to like kind of have. Like that is at my house, and I have to like chop it up with scissors to smoke on it because it's so weird, so much stem, but the juice of the buds that I'm popping off of that is like so beautiful that I like cherish every single little piece, and that's what I get from a lot of the hazes.
I've got one haze that's in the jar that nobody can even hardly smoke it. Like my son and all them, they can't even finish a bomb yet. It gets them so high they can't even fucking. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's harsh, but it's like you say that you got to fucking pick it apart. It's stemmy, airy. It looks like larf almost, but it's just covered in fucking resin. But it looks larfy. But
dude, that's my routine: is haze in the morning with a Dutch and coffee, and it just gets me fucking like jacked up.
That's what the hazes I'm finding does for me. It doesn't put me to sleep. So I wait till the pain is intolerable, or I got to go to bed to smoke the other stuff. Usually.
Yeah, and that's what I've always noticed. I don't know. I like purple weed, grape weed is usually I'm like chilling out. skunky weed, golden weed. I'm like hybrid hanging out, you know. And then any of those lemony like type shit, I'm usually like it's just like essential oils. You know?
I fucking love the citrusy side of herb. I love it.
Do you like the try?
Some people don't. I love that, like the grapefruity, lemony, citrusy kind of spectrum. I love that shit, especially when it's like a fuely, like not fuel. I don't know if it's the right word. Again, this terminology might be almost like pine sol, I guess, almost like pine and citrus.
Yeah.
But I always wondered last couple of years if mine had that piney taste because I'm growing it basically under pine trees. Like I don't know. It could be the soil could be giving it a piney taste. I don't know.
Dude, that's why I love like our by like the thing that we do is like the everyday blunt, or like our whole shit's about just like having it be a part of your routine. You know what I mean? Like a blunt and a coffee, or like, you know, different strains for different parts of your day or your life. You know, it's so intriguing to me because that's how I do it. That's how I buy weed, even for myself. This is for when I'm watching movies. This is for when I'm like at the beach. You know, this is before I ride my bike. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's and this is another interesting thing, kind of along the lines of what you said when you wrote the name on the front of the package.
mm-hmm.
I couldn't put my finger on what I was smelling in the different jars, probably because my nose was going a little blind at the time of trimming. But when I would have someone else come in and smell the jars that doesn't smoke weed and tell me what they smell, as soon as this jar was opened by everybody, they're like, it smells just like grapefruit rinds. And it looks like Bammer, but this is probably my favorite one in the whole of the whole thing. It's when I smoke it, my mouth tastes like I chewed on a grapefruit rind with pepper on it. And it looks like shit when you look at it. It just looks like dirt. It looks like it's not even trimmed. It's just fan leaves and everything. I stuffed it in the jar. And it still smells just like the day I took it down 7 months ago.
Wow.
That's the weird thing about it.
Too. That shit
It doesn't degrade. It doesn't degrade on the compost pile like some of the other plants. You throw them on the compost pile and the stems will break down and disappear. But all the haze stalks are still standing in the yard right now. Just as they're just like they're hardwood. Like nothing even eats it. It's weird.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna bounce
Weird.
back. Yeah. But hey, it's an honor to meet you and be on the show. I love
mine.
everything about this network and all the growers and seeing what people are asking and talking about. You guys are the shit.
Pleasure is all mine. I'm
nothing else to say, but thank you.
I'm tickled
Always
that Trav lets me come on.
Biscuits and gravy, dude. I'm not gonna forget that.
Well, I will make homemade sausage and gravy biscuits and some eggs. I got fresh eggs too.
Hell yeah, man. Nice to meet you, bro.
It's great to meet you.
Absolutely. I'm cool to come back.
Yeah, of course, brother.
I'll hit you. That is
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yep.
It's late.
You're on. So here's what I'm gonna do, Hall. I'm gonna end this one, but I'm gonna start up another one to kind of separate them. So it's like, we'll end it as Paulie's leaving, then I'm gonna start another hangout for trimming.
Nice. Glad to hear it. Thanks for having me on here too, by the way.
Hell yeah. Yeah, feel free to jump back on if you
I
want.
will. I'm
Okay.
waiting on the link.
Right on.